Section. Introduction. We're going to talk about a method called instruction tuning, which is commonly used to fine-tune large language models, LLMs. This method is particularly useful because it helps these models to generalize or apply what they've learned to tasks they haven't seen before. It does this by teaching the models to follow specific instructions. The great thing about instruction tuning is that it doesn't require a lot of computational power compared to pre-training, but it significantly improves the performance of pre-trained LLMs on reasoning and problem-solving tasks. This method has allowed LLMs to perform almost as well as humans on many tasks, even when they have few or no training examples. It has also enabled them to tackle reasoning tasks that were previously only achievable by humans. Instruction tuning not only teaches LLMs to understand and follow human instructions, but it also improves their ability to mimic the outputs of the training data, which are often written by humans. This makes their output more controllable, predictable, and desirable, and more aligned with human values and style. As a result, instruction-tuned LLMs are more similar to humans in both their capabilities and their output. This leads us to an interesting question. Does instruction tuning make LLMs more similar to the human language system? Previous research has shown that models that perform better on tasks are more aligned with the human language system. However, no one has studied how instruction tuning, which has enabled powerful LLMs like ChatGPT, affects this alignment. In our study, we're going to explore how instruction tuning impacts the alignment between LLMs and the human language system. We'll look at two aspects: brain alignment, which measures how closely the internal representations of LLMs match the patterns of neural activity in the human language system, and behavioral alignment, which evaluates how similar the behavior of LLMs is to human behavior. To do this, we'll present both LLMs and human participants with the same language stimuli, which will consist of naturalistic stories and sentences. We'll analyze the internal representations and per-word perplexity of the LLMs, and we'll use previously collected data from functional magnetic resonance imaging, fMRI, experiments and per-word reading times for the humans. We'll measure brain alignment using a metric called the brain score linear predictivity, which assesses how well the representations of the LLMs predict human brain activity in response to the same language stimuli. To evaluate behavioral alignment, we'll calculate the Pearson correlation between the per-word perplexity of the LLMs and the per-word reading times of the humans. We'll also investigate why instruction tuning increases alignment to human brain activity by estimating the contribution of various properties of the LLMs towards brain alignment. These properties include the ability to predict the next word, the size of the model, a range of problem-solving abilities, and knowledge of different domains. Our findings show that instruction tuning generally improves the alignment of LLM representations to brain activity, increasing brain alignment by an average of 6.2% for the LLMs and neural datasets we tested. We also found that world knowledge and model size are strongly correlated with brain alignment. However, surprisingly, our results generally indicate that instruction tuning LLMs does not enhance behavioral alignment with human reading times. In conclusion, instruction tuning is an effective method for enhancing the capability and controllability of LLMs. It trains LLMs using pairs of human instructions and desired outputs, and it often costs only a small fraction of compute relative to pre-training. Our research contributes to this area by studying whether instruction tuning makes LLMs more aligned to the human language system in terms of brain and behavioral alignment. We also build on previous research by demonstrating that instruction tuning aligns LLM representations to human brain activity and by identifying that world knowledge is a key property underlying LLM brain alignment. Section summary. Instruction tuning is a method used to fine-tune large language models, LLMs, by training them to follow task-specific instructions, resulting in improved generalization and performance on reasoning tasks. In this study, the impact of instruction tuning on the alignment between LLMs and the human language system is explored, considering both brain alignment, matching neural activity patterns, and behavioral alignment, similarity in behavior. The results show that instruction tuning increases brain alignment but does not significantly enhance behavioral alignment, and factors such as world knowledge and model size contribute to brain alignment. Section. Language models. In this study, we examine the brain alignment of 25 large language models, LLMs, from two model families, T5 and Llama. T5 models are a type of LLM that are initially trained on a massive dataset known as the Colossal Common Crawl Corpus, C4, which contains 356 billion tokens. These models are then further refined on a mix of unsupervised and supervised tasks. We use 5 T5 models in our study, ranging in size from 77 million to 11 billion parameters. Llama models, on the other hand, are trained on a mixture of different datasets, including C4, English Common Crawl, Wikipedia, GitHub, and more. We use 3 versions of the Llama model in our study, with 7 billion, 13 billion, and 33 billion parameters respectively. For the T5 models, we use a variety of versions that have been fine-tuned on different datasets, such as the Flan Suite, Alpaca, and GPT-4a-LL. For the Llama models, we use versions that have been fine-tuned on user-shared conversations. We also use a version of the Llama model that has been further refined using reinforcement learning from human feedback on a range of conversational and instructional datasets. Brain alignment is a method we use to evaluate how similar the representations created by these LLMs are to human brain activity. This involves using fMRI recordings of human subjects while they read language stimuli. We then provide the same language stimuli to the LLMs and extract their intermediate layer activations as their representations of the language stimuli. We then use a linear predictivity metric to predict fMRI voxels associated with the human language system using these LLM representations. The brain alignment of the LLM is then evaluated as the correlation between the predicted and actual brain activity data. We use 3 different fMRI datasets to measure the brain alignment of the LLMs. These datasets involve different sets of human participants and use different sets of language stimuli. We also study the effect of instruction tuning on LLM brain alignment. We find that instruction tuning improves alignment by an average of 6.2% across all tested LLMs. This holds across all 3 neural datasets, with average improvements of plus 6.9% on one dataset, plus 8.0% improvement on another, and plus 3.8% on the third. This suggests that instruction tuning improves brain alignment. Furthermore, we find that a smaller instruction-tuned model can achieve higher brain alignment than a larger model from the same family that has not been instruction-tuned. To study how instruction tuning aligns LLM representations to brain activity over time, we instruction-tune a llama model on a specific dataset for 3 epochs. We find that instruction tuning progressively improves brain alignment. We also perform a study to separate the effect on brain alignment of the instruction following ability provided by the instruction tuning step and the added training data. We find that brain alignment of this model increases during fine-tuning but stays lower than its instruction following counterpart. This shows that improvements in brain alignment are due to both factors. Section Summary. In this section, the authors evaluate the brain alignment of different language models, LLMs, by comparing their representations to human brain activity. They use fMRI recordings of human subjects reading language stimuli and measure the similarity between LLM representations and the recorded brain activity. They find that instruction tuning improves brain alignment, with an average improvement of 6.2% across all tested LLMs, and that smaller instruction-tuned models can achieve higher brain alignment than larger models from the same family. Section. Factors underlying LLM brain alignment. We set out to understand the factors that influence the alignment between large language models, LLMs, and human brain activity. To do this, we looked at the correlation between this alignment and various LLM properties, such as their performance on different reasoning benchmarks, their language modeling ability, and their size. We used 2 benchmarks to measure the LLM's reasoning abilities. The first, MMLU, assesses the LLM's knowledge across a wide range of subjects. The second, BBH, tests the LLM's problem-solving abilities in 4 categories: algorithmic and multi-step arithmetic reasoning, natural language understanding, use of world knowledge, and multilingual knowledge and reasoning. We found a strong correlation between brain alignment and world knowledge. In other words, the better an LLM performed on tasks that required world knowledge, the more its internal representations aligned with human brain activity. However, we didn't find a strong correlation between brain alignment and other aspects of the BBH benchmark, such as algorithmic reasoning and multilingual reasoning. This could be due to the limitations of the models we tested, most of which were primarily trained on English language data. We also looked at the correlation between brain alignment and language modeling ability, specifically next word prediction. We found that while there was a correlation, it was not as strong as the correlation between brain alignment and world knowledge performance. This suggests that understanding world knowledge is a better predictor of brain alignment than next word prediction ability. When it comes to model size, we found a strong correlation with brain alignment. However, size alone doesn't determine brain alignment. For instance, some smaller models had greater brain alignment than larger ones. This shows that other factors, besides size, significantly contribute to brain alignment. We also looked at the correlation between brain alignment and world knowledge and model size on different datasets. We found significant correlations on some datasets, but not on others. We think this could be due to the small participant size in some datasets, which could lead to more noise in the results. In addition to brain alignment, we also explored behavioral alignment, which measures the similarity between LLM per word perplexity and human per word reading times. We found that tuning the LLMs did not improve their behavioral alignment to human reading times. In fact, for half of the LLMs we tested, it resulted in no change or reduced behavioral alignment. Finally, we looked at the correlation between behavioral alignment and various factors, such as model size, next word prediction ability, and performance on the reasoning benchmarks. Unlike with brain alignment, we did not find a correlation between these factors and behavioral alignment. We'll discuss our interpretations of these results and possible explanations in the next section. Section Summary. The factors underlying the alignment between language models, LLMs, and human brains were investigated. The study found that LLM brain alignment is strongly correlated with world knowledge, language modeling ability, and model size. Specifically, more accessible representations of world knowledge were identified as a key factor in aligning LLM representations to human brain activity. However, instruction tuning LLMs did not improve behavioral alignment to human reading times. Section. Discussion. Let's discuss the implications of our findings for both natural language processing, NLP, and neuroscience. In the context of NLP, we've been exploring how to build and improve language learning models, LLMs. One of the techniques we found to be particularly effective is instruction tuning. This method enhances the capabilities of LLMs, improves the quality of their outputs, and allows them to adapt to new tasks with minimal task-specific training. However, we're still trying to understand how instruction tuning changes the internal workings of LLMs to achieve these improvements. To investigate this, we've been using brain activity data, which offers a unique perspective. Our findings indicate that instruction tuning not only enhances the LLM's ability to retrieve world knowledge stored in its model weights, but also improves the alignment of its representations with those of the human brain. This suggests that incorporating world knowledge is crucial for the development of future LLMs. Turning to neuroscience, we've found that instruction-tuned LLMs are useful for studying the properties of LLMs that underlie brain and behavioral alignment. Previous research has mostly focused on high-level properties like model size and external behaviors like predicting missing words. However, we believe that understanding the lower-level or internal properties of LLMs is key to understanding their similarities with the human brain. For instance, the amount of knowledge LLMs contain, such as factual and common-sense knowledge, is crucial. We've found that instruction-tuned LLMs, which have been trained to respond to a general question format, allow us to evaluate LLMs in a more detailed way. This enables us to study both internal and external properties of LLMs, and how they correlate with brain and behavioral alignment. However, our current methods of evaluating behavioral alignment are limited. We've been comparing language models, LMs, and human next word surprisal on reading tasks, which only evaluates a single dimension of LM and human behavior. Our findings suggest that we need to create more benchmarks to expand the dimensions of behavior examined for both LLMs and humans, in order to evaluate LLM behavior and LLM human behavioral alignment more holistically. Our research also highlights the need for more diverse brain alignment datasets. Currently, our datasets are limited to humans reading naturalistic stories and sentences in English. We don't have brain activity data for human participants attempting the BBH and MMLU benchmarks, which may explain why brain alignment isn't significantly correlated with many categories of problem solving on BBH, such as language understanding. In the future, we hope to study brain alignment with human participants performing more diverse sets of tasks, such as reading computer program code. Our results also show that world knowledge is a key factor in aligning LLM representations to human brain activity. LLMs with greater world knowledge across all tested subject domains produce representations that align more closely to human brain activity. This suggests that world knowledge influences human brain activity, shaping the language comprehension systems in the brain. However, our study has some limitations. We've restricted our study to two model families, T5 and Llama, to ensure that the models are trained on a similar instruction format. This means that any differences in their MMLU or BBH performance would point to differences in the quantity of knowledge they possess. But we hope to include a greater variety of LLMs in future work to strengthen the generalizability of our claims. Finally, our study is computationally expensive due to the large number of LLMs we investigate and the many datasets we use. To address this concern, we've provided our full results in the appendices.